That's how the story started. Not in a grand hall or at a fancy event, but right here in the simplicity of everyday life. Two hearts finding a familiar rhythm in the midst of routine. Weeks turned into months, and soon their bond grew deeper. They became inseparable, partners in laughter, in prayer, and in food. On Saturday mornings, you would find them right here in their tiny kitchen, turning simple ingredients into memories. Obinna would chop vegetables while Amara stirred the pot, teasing him when he tried to steal a taste too early. Obinna, at least wait till it's ready. Ha ha ha! Ah, woman of my life, even the aroma is delicious. Their laughter filled the room, and for them, that was love, not the expensive gifts or grand gestures, but the peace of knowing you're cooking life together, one meal at a time. That evening, laughter filled the dining room again. It wasn't just about the food anymore, it was about connection. A simple plate of rice and stew became a feast of love and joy. Every smile, every shared spoonful reminded them that peace at home tastes better than any meal. It wasn't always about big moments. Sometimes love hides in the quiet routines, in folding shirts, matching socks, and teasing each other over who folded neater. That afternoon, laughter echoed through the small living room as Amara and Obinna folded their clothes together. To anyone else, it might look ordinary, but to them it was sacred, a moment that whispered, "We're building this life together." Every fabric they folded carried memories of love, of patience, of shared dreams. If only they knew how fragile peace can be, and how quickly love can fade when life begins to test the hearts. Every home has its quiet altars, places where hearts meet in prayer and dreams are whispered to God. For Amara and Obinna, faith was their foundation. Every morning before work, every night before sleep, they would kneel side by side, fingers interlocked, hearts bound in hope. "Lord," Amara would pray softly, "keep us together. Help us love each other more, even when life gets hard." And Obinna would always respond with a gentle Amen. In those moments, nothing else mattered. Not the bills, not the noise outside, just two souls choosing to stay grounded in faith. But even strong prayers can sometimes be followed by storms meant to test their strength. Some mornings feel like they are kissed by heaven itself. The light shines softer, laughter sounds louder, and love feels almost visible. Amara and Obinna shared breakfast like two people who had found a rhythm, the kind of happiness that makes you forget the world outside. "You still laugh like a child," Amara teased, her voice soft but full of affection. "And you still look like the reason I smile," Obinna replied with a grin. Their hands met again across the table, fingers intertwined, eyes locked in that unspoken language of love. Everything felt right, but sometimes life lets you taste joy deeply just before it teaches you how fragile it can be. That night, the laughter that once filled the home had gone quiet. Amara stood by the window, staring into the dark street, waiting. The clock on the wall ticked louder than ever, as if mocking her hope. 1:55 a.m. He still wasn't home. She told herself it was traffic, maybe work, maybe anything but what her heart feared. But as the hours stretched, her chest grew heavy, and the warmth of love began to feel like cold worry. "Lord," she whispered, Please bring him home safe. Outside, the world slept, but inside her, something was breaking quietly. While Amara waited in silence, Obinna sat somewhere across town, lost in the noise of laughter and alcohol. The bar was alive. Music, friends, bottles clicking, stories that didn't matter. For a moment, he forgot the woman staring at the clock at home, forgot the prayers they once shared on their knees. Another round, he shouted, his voice louder than his conscience. His friends cheered, but somewhere deep down, a small voice whispered, "You're losing something precious." Yet he drowned it with another sip, another joke, another lie to himself. And as the night grew darker, the distance between them silently widened. Days turned into weeks, weeks turned into months, and the man Amara once shared laughter and prayers with was slowly becoming a stranger. Every evening ended the same way, with an empty chair and a heart that waited. The woman who once laughed over a bowl of cereal now knelt by a candle, whispering the same prayer over and over. "God, please change him. Bring my husband back home, not just in body, but in spirit." While others might have walked away, Amara stayed, not out of weakness, but out of love, out of faith, out of the hope that light can still find its way through the cracks of a broken home. And there, under the dim candlelight, she fought a battle only heaven could see. Amara's heart grew heavier with each passing day. Obinna's late night had become the norm, and her prayers seemed unanswered. One evening, she sat with her mother and Obinna's mother, both women filled with sorrow but anchored in faith. "My daughter," her mother whispered, "don't give up. Keep praying. God can still turn things around." Obinna's mother added softly, "My son wasn't always this way. The same God who joined you both in love can bring him back to his senses." Amara nodded slowly, wiping her tears. She wanted to believe. She wanted to hope again. Days turned into weeks, and Amara's pain became too heavy to bear alone. The family decided it was time to speak with Obinna, to plead with him to remember the man he once was. Amara's aunt spoke first, her tone firm yet caring. "Obinna, this path you're walking will destroy everything you've built. Think of Amara. Think of your home." His mother's eyes glistened with tears. "My son, you weren't raised this way. Please listen to us. Change before it's too late." Amara sat silently, her fingers clasped together in silent prayer. Obinna looked down, torn between pride and the quiet voice of conscience whispering in his heart. The laughter in their home had faded, replaced by silence, sorrow, and the smell of spilled alcohol. Amara's tears had become her nightly prayer, falling quietly, one after another, as if each drop could wash away his pain. But Obinna walked a different road now, one filled with noise, distraction, and the emptiness of temporary joy. He didn't see the woman waiting, the one whose heart still believed that love could find him, even here, even now, in the middle of his brokenness. That night, love walked barefoot through the storm, not because it was easy, but because it was right. While others might have said, "Let him go," Amara's heart said, "Find him." And there, in the mud, in the rain, in the middle of heartbreak, love didn't speak through words, it spoke through actions. Because real love doesn't just pray for change. Sometimes it walks into the storm to bring change home. Amara stands motionless in the middle of the street, drenched and exhausted. Obinna lies beside her, half conscious. She looks up at the sky, tears hidden among the raindrops. You can almost hear her thoughts. How did we get here? How much longer will I keep saving a man who doesn't want to be saved? Then something shifts. Her eyes hardened, not in hatred, but in resolve. The woman who once begged God for change now realizes that maybe she has to be the change. Slowly, she looks toward the distance, a faint signboard flickering in the rain, community mortuary. And for the first time in months, Amara breathes out. A plan forming in her heart. She whispers softly, "If he won't wake up through love, maybe fear will do it." Sometimes, pain teaches you what love alone cannot. Amara had prayed, cried, waited, but nothing changed. And so, in the silence of the storm, a strange idea was born. A desperate kind of wisdom only a broken heart could understand. If love couldn't wake him, then maybe fear would. Because sometimes, when love runs out of tears, it finds strength and creates miracles the world will never understand. Amara stands before the mortuary attendant. Her clothes are still damp, her face firm and determined. The attendant looks surprised and curious. She leans closer and speaks in a low, urgent tone, her voice trembling but full of purpose. "We don't hear every word, only fragments. He drinks too much. He doesn't listen anymore. I need him to believe he's dead." The attendant looked at her, shocked at first. Then he nods slowly. It's an outrageous idea, but something in Amara's eyes tells him this isn't madness. It's love's last cry for help. The silence inside the mortuary is unlike any other. Cold, still, and heavy with the weight of lives once lived. Here, even the air seems to whisper stories of final goodbyes. But tonight, something different has been brought in. Something that still breathes. The attendants walked in silence. They had seen many faces, many stories, but none quite like this one. To them, he was just another body, but to Amara, he was a final prayer. Time stood still. Between life and death, he lay, unaware of the world around him. In that frozen silence, heaven and earth seemed to pause, watching what would happen next. Then, with a shiver, the dead man moved. Confusion filled his eyes. His heart pounded, his breath quickened, and for the first time in years, he was truly sober. The attendants turned slowly, pretending not to be surprised. To them, this was just another stubborn spirit, refusing to rest. But to Obinna, it was the edge between life and death. His voice trembled as he whispered, "Where am I?" Obinna's knees pressed against the cold tiles as silence filled the room. One of the attendants began reading from an old scroll, his tone deep, echoing like judgment itself. "This is the list of the stubborn ones," he said. The other nodded, his eyes fixed on Obinna. In that moment, Obinna realized he was no longer in control of his own story. They told him that stubborn spirits are dealt with differently, that those who refuse to rest must be taught to obey. Obinna's heart pounded as one attendant raised an axe, not to strike, but to warn. The cold metal gleamed under the fluorescent light. For the first time in his life, fear became his teacher. He found a Bible on the metal tray beside him, and for the first time, the words made sense. He read them slowly, each verse piercing deeper than the last. He wasn't in a mortuary anymore. He was in the middle of a miracle. The morning light seeped in through the narrow window. Obinna sat still, staring at the lifeless forms around him. He wept. Not because he was trapped, but because he realized he had been lost long before this night. And for the first time, he truly wanted to live.
Go home, son. The dead don't get second chances, but you just did.
Obinna's legs tremble, but he doesn't stop. The road stretches endlessly. Yet his determination carries him faster. He's not just running home, he's running back to life. The wooden door creaks open. Amara is inside, sweeping the floor quietly. Her eyes look tired, distant, the kind of tired that comes from too many nights of crying. Obinna stops at the doorway, chest heaving, voice trembling with emotion, calling out breathlessly, "Amara! Amara! It's me!" She continues sweeping, her back still turned, the broom moving slowly, rhythmically, as if she's cleaning away the memories too. Obinna's voice echoed through the room, but there was no reply, no glance, no recognition. It was as if his words dissolved into the air. "Amara," he whispered again, softer this time. Still nothing. His heart began to pound. Fear, the kind he had never felt before, crawled up his spine. He rushed into the bathroom, trembling, desperate. The mirror stared back at him, and for a terrifying second, he wasn't sure if it did. "Am I dead?" He gasped, his voice shaking. He touched his chest, his face. Everything felt real, but his soul didn't. In panic, he grabbed the only thing he could think of, his Bible. And before another thought could cross his mind, he ran out of the house, barefoot, into the morning sun, heading straight to the church, seeking the one place he hoped death could never enter. But Amara stopped him.
Where are you going? It's Monday, Obinna.
For a long moment, Obinna couldn't speak. He stood there, breathing, staring, alive. Amara's voice, calm and teasing, broke through the fear that had held him captive. It wasn't a ghost standing in their living room. It was a man who had been given a second chance. He dropped to his knees, the Bible still in his hands, tears mixing with relief. Amara stared at him, her broom still in midair, unsure what to make of it all. Voice trembling. Amara, I'm sorry. I've been to hell and back. I saw death, Amara, and all I could think of was you. For the first time in a long while, silence felt sacred. Not the silence of distance, but of understanding. Amara's eyes softened. Slowly, she placed the broom aside and walked towards him. Then she knelt beside him, her hand resting gently on his shoulder. Welcome home, Obinna. The morning light grew brighter, almost heavenly, as though grace itself had stepped into the room. The days of darkness slowly faded, and in their place came mornings filled with laughter once again. Obinna, the man who once drowned his pain in bottles, now found peace in the Word. The same Bible he once clutched in fear, he now holds in gratitude. In church, his voice rose, not just in song, but in thanksgiving for a life restored, a love reborn. At home, the dining table that once echoed silence now rings with laughter. Amara and Obinna share milk instead of sorrow, joy instead of tears. Neighbors watch in amazement. The couple who once walked through fire now walk in grace. Their love, tested and purified, stands stronger than ever. Because sometimes it's not the prayers that change a man, it's the storm that brings him to his knees. And through it all, Amara never stopped believing. She fought her battle with faith and won with love.